Hi, I'm back to film my mid-year book freakout tag, and I'm gonna do things a little bit differently because I don't like to pick favorites. It's really hard for me to pick favorites. It's really hard for me to narrow anything down ever. So for each question, I'm gonna give you however many answers I feel like giving because I'm allowed to do that. So, oh, hold on, I forgot my notes. I had to write all my notes down. Okay. First question is best book. I hate this question. What do you mean best book? If people just pick one book that they think is the best that they've read in the year, that sounds bizarre to me. So I'm gonna mention a few that were my favorites. But before I do that, I haven't had the best reading year. I haven't been keeping track of my numbers this year. I did that on purpose. I'm not paying attention to how many books I read each month or what my total is. I didn't set a reading goal. I did that last year and it worked out really well and I read a ton, but I don't want to put that pressure on myself. And I also just realized it doesn't fucking matter, at least for me. Like, I don't care. However many books I read is how many I read. So I'm not doing that this year. But anyway, all of that is just to say that I haven't been counting them this year, but from what I've read, I haven't really read a ton of books that I would call my favorite books. I haven't given a ton of 5 stars. I haven't read many books that just like stuck with me, that I was like, this is amazing and I think everyone should read this. Unfortunately, I just haven't had those this year, but I've had a lot of 4 stars, like a lot of 4 stars. So I've had a lot of books that I've really enjoyed, that I would say are good books, that I would recommend to my friends, but not a ton that I would be like all-time fave. So instead of doing best books, this is like kind of my favorites of the year. And those are, Fourth Wing. Of course, this one's going to come up a couple of times in here. I think this one, everybody knows. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not really going to go into what these books are about because I feel like a lot of them you already know, and if you don't, you can look it up, and that's not what this video is for, so we're just going to go over the titles pretty much. But Fourth Wing was a fave. Oh god. Do I think it's perfect? No. Did I give it 5 stars? No. But did I have a really good time, and am I excited for the second one? Yes. Next would be Happy Place, which again, fairly obvious. Like, everyone has been raving about this book this year. Did I love it? No. Did I give it 5 stars? No. But I gave it a 4 and I thought it was really good and I had a good time and I would recommend it to other people. I also wanted to include Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, but it's in the bottom of this stack because it's an answer to another question. And then I also would like to include A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crowned Shy by Becky Chambers. I read that duology this year, absolutely loved it, but I lent them out to a friend so I don't have my copies. All right, next question is the best sequel that you've read this year, and for this one I have 2. The first is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I loved Ninth House when it came out. Was it last year or the year before? Can't remember. Read it twice, and then I really enjoyed the sequel. Did I think it was perfect? No. Did I give it 5 stars? No. But I really enjoyed it, had a great time. Love these characters. Can't wait to see where the series goes. And then I also wanted to include Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I read Strange the Dreamer, I guess last year or the year before. Loved it. Took me a while to get around to reading the sequel, but when I did, I really loved it. Again, is it amazing and my top tier book of the year? No. Did I give it a 5? No. But I gave it a 4. And I really liked it, and I would recommend this series. I think it's a great duology. It's kind of YA, but kind of not YA. It's right in the middle, and I think a lot of people could really enjoy it. Okay, for the next question, it's a new release that you haven't read, and I have a couple for those that have come out recently that I have piling up on my TBR. First is Yellowface. Everyone's been talking about this one. I can't wait to read it. I love R.F. Kuang's writing. I loved Babel/Babel. I liked the Poppy War series. I only read the first one, but I liked it a lot. And need to get back to it. But I also found out today that she's only 27 years old. This woman is only 27 years old. That's insane to me. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to read Yellowface. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be really poignant and thought-provoking, and I think it's going to have a lot of good, juicy drama, and so I'm excited. Another one that I am about to read that came out this year is Birnam Wood by, I don't even know, Eleanor Catton. My book club is reading this month for our new release pick for 2023, so I'm excited to get to it. It's literary fiction. It's supposed to be pretty dense, but very thrilling, and that's pretty much all I know about it, and I'm really excited. And then the last new release that I have yet to read is The Book of Goose. I think this one came out this year. It may have been last year, but I think it was this year. It doesn't tell me in here, so it doesn't even matter at this point, but I'm gonna look. Oh, it was 2022. Oh, but I bought it this year because I think the cover's beautiful and it's supposed to be very lyrically written and about friendship, and so I'm excited to read this one either way. Even if it didn't come out this year, that's okay. All right, next is favorite reread, and I have 2 for this one. I don't reread a lot of books. I've reread, honestly, I think 2, and I still really love both of them. So this year for my book club, I reread Luster by Raven Leilani. Loved it. If you haven't read it, just her debut novel, and I thought it was incredible. It's about being a Black 20-something and trying to figure out life and deal with other people, and it was funny and I loved it. Then I reread The Goldfinch, which is an all-time favorite for me. I think I still gave this one 5 stars the second time around. I couldn't say enough about this book. I know it's not for everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's really thick. I can see how some people would think it's kind of boring, but I absolutely love the writing. I love the story. I love the characters. I love this one a lot. Okay. Next question is biggest disappointment. And this one was hard for me because this book, I think, is a classic and a lot of people love it. But for me, it was American Psycho. And you can go look on my Instagram page at my review for this one if you want to hear my thoughts, but this one was hard for me. I think a lot of people I think when women in particular criticize this book for the violence, men / the general population tend to say like, oh, you're being so sensitive, you're being weak, maybe you're just triggered by the content, like whatever. But I think there's a lot of validity to criticisms of the excessive violence in this book. It's gratuitous, it's hard to read, it's just a lot of violence against women and minority groups. And I think that in order for Bret Easton Ellis to say what he needed to say, he didn't have to do all that. I get that it's satire, but my main criticism was just, is the level that he went to necessary in order to make the points he's trying to make? And I don't think so. And I think there's a lot of weird cultural fetishization and just glorification of his writing and of this book and of this movie, and it makes me uncomfortable. So that one was a letdown for me. I was hoping it was going to be some awesome criticism and like pointing out how bad misogyny is and like the upper class especially, and like it did those things, but it's like, anyway, I'm going off. I said I wasn't going to do that, so we're not going to do it. Next question is biggest surprise. I'm so excited for this one. And it's Magnolia Parks. I've lent my Magnolia Parks books to friends, so I only have my Daisy Hates right now. Again, did I give these books 5 stars? No. Would I maybe though? I might give it a 5-star as a series. Although, like, if you know about Magnolia Parks, you know what I'm talking about. Are they, like, quote unquote, great literature? No, but they're entertaining and they're realistic and they're filled with drama and filled with just toxic relationships, and it's like a guilty pleasure of just like reading about these people who are ridiculous and like do things that you would never do in your real life and are crazy, and just like the drama. And I had so much fun with this series, so much fun. And I think about these characters all the time. I really enjoyed the writing. I think Jessa Hastings has a way of putting like nuanced emotions into words and just like describing feelings in a way that is really poetic. And my neighbor's being very loud. But anyway, I had a ton of fun with it, and I think I want to reread them. Would I suggest them to everyone? No. But if you like Skins or Gossip Girl and you want to read that instead of watching it, Magnolia Parks is the way to go. Okay, next question is a book that made you cry. And for this one, I have My Dark Vanessa. Oh my God. What a dark, tear-jerking, heart-wrenching, emotion-filled book. It's not an easy read It's not a fun read, but I think it's an important read, and it really, really broke my heart. And I wouldn't recommend this one to everyone again either, but if you can stomach it, if it's not triggering for you, I think this book does a really good job of discussing abuse and grooming and the psychological effects of those things on victims, and I thought it was very well done. Then the next prompt is book that made you smile. I'm kind of going to change this to book that made me laugh, because I did read a book that I found very surprisingly funny, and that is Just by Looking at Him by Ryan O'Connell. This is a queer story about a man who's not really a good person, who's also gay, and he does his gay shenanigans, and he lives his life, and he blows up his relationship, and it's just probably one of the funniest books I've ever read. Ryan O'Connell is a comedian slash TV writer slash whatever, I can't remember the rest, and it really comes through in his writing, because his characters are so funny, the narration is hilarious, the jokes are spot on. My only worry about this book is that it is very timely, so I wonder in a few years if I would reread it, if it would feel dated. I don't know, but if you are into like contemporary queer culture, this one is really funny. Oh, it's also got amazing disability rep. Our main character has cerebral palsy, as does the author, and so that adds like a really great level of depth to the story as well, so check it out. Your favorite debut novel or debut author or new to you author? And that's where I put Tomorrow on here for me. I know this is not Gabrielle Zevin's first novel. Zevin? Yeah. But it is her first novel that I read, and I loved it. Again, did I give it 5 stars? No, I gave it like 4, maybe 4.5 if we do half stars in this household. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. I loved the relationships. I loved the characters. The twist had me. It's not even really a twist, but just the climax was like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, I would say that. And then I would also say Becky Chambers. Again, I don't have my copy of those books because I lent them to friends, but A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crowned Shy. That's a new to me author, and I thought those were fantastic, and I won't stop talking about them. For beautiful, most beautiful book, Inside and Out, again, I said Psalm for the Wild Built and Prayer for the Crowned Shy. I can't believe how much I've talked about these books in this video, but if you don't know what they're about, you should honestly just go read the Goodreads. Like, you don't need me to tell you. You can look it up. But they're kind of sci-fi. They're kind of futuristic. It's not really dystopian. It's more utopian, which is really interesting. It's about humanity and robots and how we can learn about ourselves through the eyes of others. And it's just very heartfelt. And I don't usually like good, like, warm, feel-goody comfort books, but these really worked for me, and I think they could work for you too. And then our last question is a book that you want to read by the end of the year. And for that, I have Outlander. I've watched the series, and probably 2 years ago, I started reading the book, and it was so similar to the series. Like, the lines were like verbatim. I was like, oh, I don't need to read this if I just watched it. But now it's been a bunch of time, and I really want to go back and read these and then do a watch as I read. And I have a friend who's going to buddy read them with me, Lindsay. We need to set our schedule for this because I'm determined to start this series this year. And then I did want to do a couple of like honorable mentions of books that I really enjoyed this year that didn't really fall into any of those categories. The first author that I wanted to talk about is Claire Keegan. She wrote Small Things Like These and Foster, and they are just like short little books that take place in, oh no, am I gonna get it wrong? It's either Ireland or Scotland. It's Ireland. I'm like 99% sure. It's Ireland, yeah. That take place in Ireland, and they're very short, and they're very simple, and they're very sweet, and they're very heartfelt, and they kind of have political commentary, but it's mainly about like mundane situations in life and mundane people and how stories are important, and it takes like a little example of something and makes a big point, and I really, really enjoy both of these. I also wanted to mention Brutes by Diz Tate. This one, again, wasn't a favorite, but if you like stories about unhinged women and like the horror of girlhood and books that are just kind of weird, I think this would be a really, really good one for you, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then the last honorable mention I'll talk about is a fantasy series. It's really popular, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and then the second one came out this year, the Ashes of the Star something something. I really enjoyed both of these. Again, I don't think they're perfect. They were kind of a guilty pleasure read. I don't think they were anything to like write home about necessarily, but they were super fun and super entertaining. And if you're into fantasy or fantasy romance or trying to get into those genres, I think this could be a good place for you to start. That's all I have for you today. I hope you liked this video. If you want to see more, let me know. I don't know what people say at the ends of these things. I'm not used to it and I'm not very good at it yet. But I'm excited to see how the second half of the year goes and see what else we read. And maybe we'll finally get some 5 stars in here. Fingers crossed. But yeah, we'll see you next time.